All right, I think I hit the button. So, welcome to Drama Free Gaming. It is what it says, and it says what it is. This is End Time, your host, as always, accompanied this evening by the one and only Dark Dad 99. What's going on, Jay?
Uh, Hello, folks. Now, y'all do know this man left me out last week. I ain't mad at him though. I still got love for
Left you out. I kind of jumped on that podcast and did a mono, like I told you. Like it was like
him,
around this
man.
time, as a matter of fact.
I know.
Okay.
I gotta mess with you, man. I wasn't there
All right. All right.
last week. Somebody gotta have you up.
Just as long as we're clear for the record here. It wasn't like, you know, I wasn't trying to bother this brother at all, and he was probably like in his coffin and whatnot, and you know,
Why, why I
slobbering on
gotta
his
be in my
pillow.
coffin,
Usually,
man?
yeah, because we old, man. We usually around that time. We ain't usually up around this time, like 9 p.m. Like we probably got a good half hour in us. So, we're gonna make the best of this episode this evening. Again, if you're watching us here on youtube.com at Drama Free Gaming, we ask that stick around, listen to us if you like to. If you don't, well then keep it moving. There's plenty of drama out here in social media land, YouTube land, wherever it is that you tune into. But we just try to just talk about this hobby, this great pastime that we enjoy, and that's gaming. Jay, talking about pastime and gaming. I know you haven't had a lot of time to play, but what have you been playing? What's been piquing your interest, if anything at all?
Honestly, we did a. If you guys don't know, if you want to see my embarrassment of a Mega Man X2 run, he did place that we did last weekend. And you get to see me. You get to see all my frustration and grit and hatefulness as a gamer in my face playing Mega Man, and this brother cheered me on. But right now, nothing. I've played a couple of rounds of Street Fighter 6, but that's about it for now. And yourself, sir, what you into?
Okay, you've been playing. Well, you wasn't clear. You played Mega Man X2, and so that was a
Oh,
that
yeah.
was it. It wasn't as efficient of a run as you wanted it to be.
Oh God, let's. Oh my God,
But
it was pretty bad, man. It was bad.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, you know what? I would say the first 30 minutes were fantastic.
Hmm.
After that first death happened, oh man.
Yeah, you was feeling yourself there those first 30 minutes, like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then you're gonna watch the three hunters where they're gonna be, and then when we get to this part, I'm gonna tell you this dude is gonna be here, this other dude, and then that all just like fell to the wayside.
it, it blew up in my face like that. That one guy thinking he the man. Yeah, yeah, I got this.
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Nope.
Like, do you think, Jay? And I mean, and I just want to talk about that for a little bit, just
Go
so
ahead,
before
brother.
we move on to the next thing. But do you think that the gamers of today? I mean, I'm talking about this generation. I'm not talking about the old school gamers like us that have been playing games from like day one, right? I'm talking about the newer young bucks, the kids right now, the Call of Duties, the Fortnite players. Do you think there's any of these young fellas out here that have the moxie, that have the patience to go at a game like Mega Man, or Castlevania or Metroid, and stick with it and see it through?
I'm going to say yes because
Okay.
I've seen a couple young cats that have actually tore these games. They tore them a new one, and they've done things with games I've never seen done before. So some of these new cats out here, I won't sleep on them. But some of you new cats that are spoiled by all these, new games that are pretty much either rehashes of old games or biting off old games, y'all brothers need to come down here and play in retro for a little while.
Yeah, do you think that playing some of these like rehashed or reimagined or remade or whatever the re is in front of whatever other word, do you think that that's attracting this generation to going back to the origins of the games that they're playing? Or do you think that they're just satisfied just staying where they're at and saying, hey, yeah, I'm sure that, this game was cool back in its day, but, I
If,
think I'm good with where I'm at right now.
if you want me to keep it honest with you, I think a lot of today's games are very political. And I think that's why one heavy reason why I don't like really playing a lot of today's games, because it's retro games give you a sense of when you got it, you got it. It was showtime. You played it. It was fun. You got what you got.
Mm.
Now it's somebody want to complain. The game got to be about this. Can we take all that away from this and get back to here's a good game? Would you like to play it?
Right.
Yes,
right.
I would. There you go.
Well, thankfully, I mean that's not like that across the board, right? That every game is messaging or signal messaging or whatever the terminology is. I mean, I don't want to get caught up in that right now or ever,
Oh
I should
no.
say. But yeah, I have been enjoying a couple of games that since you asked before, and I just wanted to just as a thought was fresh in my mind. But I've been enjoying a couple of games. One of them is actually on the screen right now, and please forgive my gameplay if you want to call it that. But I wanted to go and experience Half-Life, like the original Half-Life. And I'm playing it. I purchased it on Steam. And I thought, and some of you are going to be like, yeah, good for you. Now you're going to experience Half-Life the way it should be. And I'm talking about PC gamers. But I thought that I had read that it was compatible with a controller. Like I was going to be able to plug in my Xbox controller or whatever and play it. And that's not the case, man. I've wound up having to play mouse and keyboard, which I am not good at. I'm not a novice, but I'm definitely far from being good. So it took me some time getting used to it. And you'll see me going into the settings, pausing the game, going to the settings, checking what the buttons are for on the keyboard, even adjusting my mouse speed and whatnot. But
Well,
so far, so good.
let me ask you this, for since you're going back to PC and playing Half-Life classic style, we're going to call it classic controls, okay, mouse and keyboard. Is the experience enjoyable?
The game's been enjoyable. So I mean, I think if you're willing to play with whatever the peripheral is that corresponds to that system that you're playing the game on, then the game has to be good, right? In order for you to go through or want to go through the trouble of playing, with a certain peripheral, like in this case, the mouse and keyboard. I'm not a stranger to playing mouse and keyboard, but I'm not good at it, far from it, right? So I'm not a complete noob and novice, but it takes me some time, and I have some more footage of Half-Life recorded, and I said, you know what? No, I'm gonna throw on this 30-minute, run through that I did the training mode and whatnot, so people can see how horrible I actually am, playing it. But I got through it. I got through the training mode, and I've gone through a couple of levels. I'm about maybe, I don't know, 2 hours, 2.5 hours into the game, and I'm enjoying the game. And I think I've gotten a bit more used to the controls and whatnot. And I what really attracted me, Jay, to going back to Half-Life was, again, I've been watching documentaries on gaming history. My last episode here, if you guys haven't checked it out, you should go back. I just had a monologue and recommended a few YouTubers that I plug into that do documentaries and history of gaming. And I just put it out there, and watching those videos, I came across Half-Life, a documentary on Half-Life. And I said, you know what? I've never played this game, and everything that I always hear about this game is how revolutionary it was and how it broke ground in gaming. And I just didn't want to miss out. So I went back.
Now, let me ask you this while we, and I want to ask this question correctly. Do you think that from what we've seen today, YouTube is a big place. We see the coolness in games, but do we see the frustration and the hurt and the grind that, the sadness that when you lose that life, you see that on your face, that. Do you think that's what's missing now? Like we all see the hypeness, but the grit and the sorrowfulness when you lose that life, or when you do something and you're like, I was almost there, and then do you think that's missing?
You mean like that level of challenge where you've overcome a certain obstacle or stage or whatever, and you get to that, you get to that boss or that whatever, and you crash and burn after like maybe an hour or two of trying to get to him.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's so many different games. Like I just played a game, I mentioned it in the previous podcast, on Game Pass. I remember the name, but if you want to know what the game is and whatnot, go listen to the other episode 77. But I played this game, and it wasn't until I was about an hour maybe into the game that I realized that my character could not die. Like there was really nothing out there that would kill my character, and it was more of a story type game. Does that make sense? So it had platform elements, and I played it for a couple of hours, but it was like one sitting. I played the game, I enjoyed it, but it was more so a game for an experience. It didn't have that element of, you know, like a Mega Man game, like you was commenting a little bit earlier on, where you have to repeat a certain level or pattern, and with that comes the not only the learning curve but the frustration of if you don't have the patience, you don't have the moxie. Let's be honest. You'll throw your controller across the room, or go to something else's, that's better suited for you. I think that's what the Souls games, which have gotten so much fame and so much rapport, and there's a cult following with this genre of games. But all of that has its origins, right? Mega Man, Castlevania, Metroid. These were games that had those elements of frustration, for lack of a better word, right?
I see that, yeah.
But how good did it feel to overcome a challenge or defeat that boss, to get that power up, to move on to the next thing? It was a great sense of accomplishment, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why, if you're asking, has that feeling been lost? I don't think it's been lost in all games, because there's definitely games out here that don't hold your hand. But more often than not, when we do play our games, we see that there's a what do they call it? They have the settings, the options where you can play it either on easy, normal, hard, or like insane, right? And so, to each their own. I respect people's time because I want my time respected, and so there's games that I will play on normal. I've started a couple of games on difficult setting. I remember the first Jedi Fallen Order. When I first got that game, I said, "Oh, I'm a Jedi. I'm gonna play this on Jedi mode to get the full experience." And then my butt was getting kicked left and right, left and right, left and right, and I was like, "I'm not having no more fun." And I put the game down, and I never went back to it. And just recently, I went back to it, and I said, "Oh, heck no, I'm not gonna play This game on Jedi, I'm gonna play it on normal, whatever the normal setting is, and I'm having much more fun with it, much more experience. There's still parts that I still fail at, but it's not that kicking me in my teeth and stomping on my head while I'm bleeding out.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I know that was a long answer to the question you asked. I wanted to kind of like elaborate a little bit more as to what you was getting at, because I understand that, like, the risk and reward, but why do we game, right? I think you have to ask each individual gamer, why do you game? Some people say, I game just to hang out with my friends, or I game just to, in our days, just to connect with people on a social platform, because we have games out here that are just social platforms. They're games, they got game elements, but it's like, going into a chat room. And then
That's
other people are gaming because they're looking for the souls game, that's going to break them.
oh, I don't know about all that.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, Jay. I mean, why do you it wasn't like you woke up one morning and you played Castlevania or Mega Man and immediately you knew all the shortcuts and all the patterns and everything. Like, what made you stick with games that literally would beat you up as you played? What made you stick with them? What was the allure?
Nostalgia for one. Those are games I grew up with. And
Okay, but I'm saying, but besides nostalgia, I'm talking about when you was little Jay, little Dark Dad. What attracted you to Castlevania when you first played it, or Mega Man? What kept you? What attracted you as a young man and kept you playing until you saw those games through?
the honest answer to that question, and I'm gonna go ahead and let it spill out because I mean you asked me a question, so I'll give you an honest answer. I was mainly by myself as a kid, and yeah, like most of us back in the day, we went outside and played, but I was that kid that didn't have many friends. So video games is kind of what I relied upon to, take myself out of self-deprecation and depression and, not feeling that I didn't belong. Because back then, if you played video games, you were labeled as a geek, which was a derogatory term back then. But I stuck with video games back then as a younger man because it's all I had. And when I played the game, and that's, games back then, $50, $60, just like they are now. But, we can throw the money out willy nilly. But when I got it, and that's all I had. And I felt a sense of accomplishment. No matter how hard the game got, I was going to grind it to the end because I didn't know when the next game was coming. So, I guess you could say it's not that I didn't have a choice, but I fell in love with those games because it was all I had. And when it's all you got and you realize, hey, I'm going to make this work and I'm going to play it and I'm going to love it. Mega Man, Castlevania, Super Mario Brothers, Sonic, so on and so forth. Those games became a staple to me because, that's what made me who I was, and I wouldn't giving up until it was over because, once again, didn't know when the next one was coming.
Right. I hear you, brother. I could relate to a lot what you're saying. Like, I mean, it was my brother and I, but I've always counted myself more of a introverted, individual, even though, again, we hung out with the fellas on the block and then, we played kick the can, and then we played, a bunch of other stuff, wiffle ball and all that other stuff, street hockey and whatnot. But some of my best times was by myself with that controller in hand, playing the games. And like you said, the stigma, I think, is it's still out there. A lot of people still feel that way. Even myself, as a grown ass man, I sometimes, feel like, dang, if what are people gonna think if of me if they find out that I play video games, that I actually enjoy video games. I actually enjoy, talking about video games and playing video games and geeking out with other people, in the same manner and whatnot. So yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying, and the access, like something else that you said, the access to the games just wasn't there like it is today. We couldn't just download a game because we ain't have that, right? We didn't have the internet to download a game. There wasn't the Steam sales where a game would be 80% off and we can buy it, for $1.99. Yeah, it a lot has changed, and that's why, guys, if you're listening, we here talk about gamings and we try not to knock games or the industry. I mean, there's times that it deserves that. It deserves to be called out and said, hey, what are you doing? You're asking $60, $70 of people, but you're not giving us a complete game. You're going through these lulls, and I hope no developer is out here with a mindset saying, yeah, I'm gonna go make a hot piece of trash and see how many people I can get, to buy my game. I don't think that's the case. But with that said, we try to keep gaming in perspective. Like, Jay, how do you feel about Nintendo? First and foremost, just in general, before we talk about games for Nintendo, what's your take on Nintendo? As a young man, when exposed to Nintendo, if you had any exposure, what did you like right off the gate when you first played your first Nintendo game, if you could remember what it was?
My first Nintendo game was Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt, like most people.
Okay, you had the split cartridge?
Yeah, man.
Okay, the one that came with the system.
Yeah,
on the NES.
You had the Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt and Track Meet.
Yeah.
But I had Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt.
Okay, and you had the Zapper, of course.
Yeah, of course. But my very first game put my hands on was Super Mario Brothers. As a kid, just like most kids now, ooh, bright colors. Man, move forward. I jump on turtle. This is cool.
Yeah. You
simplistic as it was.
You had no clue that those first couple of moves and that first stage was really one big tutorial, right? Just the way that they designed it, right?
Yeah, and then as you got older, you were like, yeah, I got this, and you can do the little, you start figuring out little tricks, and you wanted to go faster, and now you take it what, 85, so what, you're looking 30, 40 years later maybe?
Yeah, because
you're seeing speedrunners and the world record's like 20 minutes, and I'm like, I wish I could do that now.
Well, like you always tell me, you can, brother. Like when I see you playing Mega Man and you're like, you can do this, I'm like, nah, I don't even think it's a question of ability. It's a question of, do I really got time for that?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I ain't got no time for that. I mean,
yeah, man.
And more props to those like you and others who put that time in as young bucks, and now can actually do it as adults and go back and do it and do it and enjoy it. Nintendo. So Nintendo was a positive experience for you. NES, you was there. Duck Hunt, Super Mario Bros. Just enjoying gaming.
Yeah, I had Nintendo, Super NES, 64, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. Like I think as a kid growing up, Nintendo for me is the OG of gaming. Like they are the godfather. They kissed the ring. That's Nintendo.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
I even though Sega was there, you got to kiss the ring of Nintendo because they've been there and they know what they're doing. It's just a fact.
Well, and if you look at your gaming history, right, which I've been touting here for some time now, like I keep going back to it, but Nintendo basically was like the one that saved the gaming industry, right? After the crash. What was it, 83, 84?
When Atari dropped ET. And if you guys really want to know that story, there's a documentary on Netflix that kind of explain all that.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the name of it, but
well, maybe you get a chance to look it up here as when we chat a little bit more.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Yeah.
But Nintendo came in, I think it was 83, 84. They were the Famicom in Japan, and it blew up there. But, Japan had everything anyway. But after Atari was dying, the Nintendo Entertainment System hit the store shelves and people lost their mind. And
just
for those of us that grew up in the 80s, if you didn't know what a Nintendo was, who were you?
Well, and just the way, and again, you guys, if you haven't done so, check out. There's a lot of gaming historians on YouTube as well. I think one of the ones that I mentioned was Never Knows Best, and it's all one word, Never Knows Best. But he did a video, I think it's like 8 hours long or whatnot, on the entire history of gaming. And in that, 8 hour, I think it's 8 hour plus long video that he made, documentary, it talks about that. It talks about how Nintendo came in, how they presented the Famicom, which they called it in Japan, and here was the NES or the NES. And really fascinating, really interesting how Nintendo, again, jumped in, they saved the day, but they've been rocking and rolling, brothers, since before then. And I'm not going to go into, pre-Nintendo history because I really don't know it like that. But Nintendo has been dropping iconic, we call them iconic today, iconic games that they just keep going back into the vault and bringing to their current day console. They just had a Nintendo Direct. I think it was on the 21st of June, so like about 7 days ago. And I don't know if you caught it. Did you see any of the trailers, or did you get a chance to see that Nintendo Direct, Jay?
Oh, now I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Y'all can laugh at me if you want to. I did not see Nintendo Direct.
Okay.
I've only heard of the one trailer that made me that made me look at Nintendo, dropped to a knee and said, "Please, sir, can I have some more?" And it's the Super Mario RPG remake, and I lost my ever-loving mind because I beat that game last year, and that game is phenomenal.
So Super Mario RPG was originally on what? On the SNES?
Yes, sir.
It was on the SNES. So in Japan, it would have been on the Super Famicom. That's what they called it. And here in the States and in other regions was the SNES or the SNES or the Super Nintendo. So Super Mario RPG was only one of the games that Nintendo just again went into the vault and took a game that was already a hit and remade it. And and the thing is that they didn't change from what I've been seeing. They didn't change anything about the game except that they brought it up to the modern day console, up to their Switch console now, and it looks drop dead gorgeous. Did you see any trailer on it, any gameplay trailer on it that they did show from the Nintendo Direct?
I did.
Okay.
I went over there and I broke myself down because Nintendo gonna get my money anyway for Super Mario RPG remake. I'm sorry. When I saw that trailer, and I recently had the classic game on my mind, and I can go back and play the classic game right now. It not only did it send like that nostalgia, like, holy crap, are they really doing this? Like that was that was the thought in my head. They're doing this for real? And then when you see Mario come out, fresh new Mario, kind of chunky, kind of chibi, looking all fresh and new for 2023. And I was like, yep, I needed to see 20 seconds for them to look at Nintendo and go, okay, I get paid this. This is when this game's coming out. Let me go ahead and get ready for it.
That brother
Didn't take much.
That brother said, take my money.
Yeah. Now, brother, I gotta ask you. I know you watched Nintendo Direct. What game was it for you that was like, all right, Nintendo, you got me?
Well, let me be clear. I did watch it beginning to end, and I didn't expect anything. First and foremost, I said, you know what, Nintendo, they just dropped the new Zelda, right? Tears of the Kingdom. The game has been a monster of a hit. I haven't played it. I didn't play the first one. I haven't played this one. Honestly, guys, it's not my genre. I'm not really like excited, interested to play it. Maybe one day I'll try it out. But I didn't expect anything from this direct. Like nothing at all. No announcements of nothing. But here are the ones, and I listed these games, but I put exclamation points on my list as to the games that I was excited for. I am excited for, and I'm actually looking to pick up hard copies instead of getting them digital. Super Mario RPG, of course. I've never played it. I've never played the game. My son, my oldest son, shout out to my oldest son. He's played it. He's like, Dad, the game's amazing. I have it. Like, I can play it. I have the means to play it. I have it.
Play it.
Yeah.
Play it.
This Super Mario RPG is set to release in November 17. Right there in the sweet spot, right before Thanksgiving. So, you'll have a little something to curl up with there as you're digesting the turkey or whatever it is that you eat. But another game was that was announced was the Sonic Superstars. What's that?
What is that?
Sonic Superstars. Four co-op local play. Coming out fall 2023. You just have to go see it. I saw this game. I believe it's coming out on other platforms other than Nintendo as well. Drop dead gorgeous, and I've always liked Sonic. I can't say I've been a Sonic fan. My oldest son, yes, but this game is like, I have to have this game. I just have to buy it. But those two, there was a game that was teased. They didn't show no gameplay, but it was teased while they were showing the Super Mario RPG gameplay, and that was a game that involves Princess Peach. They didn't even announce a date on it, but yeah, if Mario RPG is looking the way it does, I'm interested. Here's a couple more: Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon, the one that was on the 3DS.
Oh, they're redoing that one?
It's in the works right now. They are redoing it. They are enhancing it. Yes. I said yes, man, because I actually have this game on my 3DS, and it's a freaking amazing game. I've always loved it.
That's kind of wow. Okay.
So yeah, Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon. Again, the one that was released on the 3DS, enhanced now, in the works. No release date on that. Another one I put a check mark next to is, and you guys might laugh, but I thought it looked pretty cool. The Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. That looked really cool. That's in October 19. Then Pikmin 4. Yes. I played Pikmin. I actually have it on my Wii U. And that game's great. I don't know if you've ever played it. Have you ever played Pikmin?
I've seen speed runs of Pikmin.
Okay.
And I love strategy games. So okay. Pikmin looks ridiculously fun and addictive.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So like I said, I have it on my Wii U, Pikmin 3, and I got excited about Pikmin 4. It's right around the corner, July 1st. And I think that they're redoing or releasing Pikmin 1 and 2 digitally as well. So that might be worth checking out. My son mentioned to me, and I got it written down. I wasn't really excited about it. Maybe some of you are gonna boo me right now, but Metal Gear Collection Volume
Oh yeah,
One. Did you hear about that?
I heard about that. I
Yeah.
know a couple Metal Gear fans.
Yeah. Now that's coming out on other systems and stuff. So, again, I didn't get really excited about it. It's like, okay, cool. I can see, the fun in it, whatnot, but I'm not gonna run out and pick it up. That's just me. Um, but that's supposed to be October. I think October of 2024. So it's still a ways out. And I might be mistaken. Then two more. I'm gonna give you two more. Penny's Big Breakaway. Did you hear
I don't
anything
even know
about
what
that?
that
That's
is.
supposed to come out 2024. It is from the people who actually created the Sonic game that I just mentioned a little earlier on. What was that? The Sonic Superstars.
Yeah.
This game looks like it's gonna be an awesome platformer. I'm a sucker for the art and just the platforming. And when I heard that it was made by the same people who are putting out the same Sonic game, I was like, yeah, take my money like right now. You can just take it. And a new IP. So that's also something interesting. I think this game, Penny's Big Breakaway, is going to be on other platforms as well. So just keep an eye out for that. And then, of course, the game that they ended the showcase with, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Did you see that or hear anything about that?
Now, I don't know anything about. Is that supposed to be
Oh my
like the new
goodness.
Galaxy or Odyssey?
Dude, after this episode, after you and me chat, before you go to sleep, just on YouTube, just do yourself a favor. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I'm not even gonna try to
Okay,
explain it to you.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna explain it to you because I won't do it any justice, bro. You have to see it. And yeah, I'll get your reaction the next time we chat, man. You tell me
Okay,
if you're on board. But
I'm down.
I was like, yes, Nintendo did it again, bro. They just did it again. And Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a new IP. It's like the next iteration in the Super Mario Bros. A saga at this point. Let's just call it that. So yeah. So again, does Nintendo have like the secret sauce to keep gamers, those who are of the Nintendo following, those who have been there, who have experienced Nintendo, who continue to come back, who don't really care about the 4K 120 frames per second, 12 terabytes, whatever. They're happy with their 1080p resolution, 720 handheld console, but they keep getting treated to these amazing games. And they're not new. They're not all new. I mean, there was two games I think on that list, maybe three that I mentioned that are actually new IPs, or iterations of the IPs, but they just keep going back into the vault and bringing out these games,
You,
bro.
you know what? I'm gonna tell you like this, and let's be honest. You know why Nintendo can do that? Being honest, because Nintendo's games are cost effective.
Interesting.
Does that make
It,
the
it,
re-
it
the
makes
reason
sense, but elaborate on that. What do you mean by
the
that?
reason I'll say that, I guarantee you the remake of Final Fantasy VII is probably costing Sony over $100 million,
That'd be interesting
right?
to look up. Yeah.
So if you're investing that kind of money in an old property that made you that kind of money, fine, I get it. But Super Mario RPG back then wasn't like this huge big deal. It would probably cost Nintendo $30 million to not only remake this game, they can do it cheaper, they can probably do it more efficiently, because they don't have to worry about uh the mega, as you said before, they don't have to worry about 156 gigabytes. They don't have to worry about Blu-ray. They got a cartridge. they're working and their budget. They don't need a blockbuster budget for a blockbuster game, and they've proven that time and time again.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because wasn't Nintendo getting slack when they introduced the Switch, and one of the things that was criticized, whatever the word may be at this point appropriate, that they were still going with a cartridge based system.
That argument is actually 20 years old, and the reason I can call it like I see it in that aspect, when it was Sega and Sony, when they went this with the Saturn and PlayStation 1, Nintendo stayed cartridge, which is Nintendo 64.
Right.
The Nintendo 64 had a few titles that people still talk about and play to this day, but Nintendo, they lost money on the 64, but what Nintendo had that kept them in the game was handheld. So I don't want people to sleep on that, because when their regular systems failed, and Nintendo 64 and the GameCube did not do very well. Let me repeat, you guys can look this up. This is a fact. Sony and Sega outsold back then. They killed Nintendo 64. Even though they had Donkey Kong, GoldenEye 007, Killer Instinct 2, Conker's Bad Fur Day. They had a couple of games on the 64. Same thing with the GameCube. When the GameCube came out, you had your Luigi's Mansion. You had your Mario game. You got a couple titles out of it, but Sony and Sega, but Sega dropped out then, and Microsoft came into play. When that happened, Nintendo realized, these companies are doing their thing. So what did Nintendo do? Back then, they invested heavily in handheld and the Wii.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure you guys can look this up.
Yeah,
this is all facts.
Yeah, I mean, and what I was getting at, Jay, and I definitely appreciate what you shared there, because everything you said in a nutshell is factual. What amazes me again, and I double back to it, and I say to myself, wow, are we looking at gaming the right way? And what I mean, and maybe that's not the correct word, the right way, but have we become so accustomed, or I don't even know if this word that I'm gonna use is an actual word, anticipatory of AAA mega blockbuster games that are bigger than life, are as realistic as life, and take 6, 7, 10 years to make. Have we been caught up in that, and that's the expectation, and we've kind of sort of baptized that and have promoted it to the standard of what gaming is, again, across all platforms. And here we have Nintendo, cartridge based, hybrid handheld, dock to your TV, 1080p maximum resolution. That's if you're pushing it. 720 in your hand, not necessarily all the time. And yet, game after game after game, this Nintendo Direct just they killed it, bro. I've said it here. I prefer Xbox over PlayStation. That's just me. But Nintendo blew away PlayStation and Xbox in their showings, like hands down. And again, I'm not a big Mario fan. I'm not a big, Nintendo fan. But not only did they put on a show, they put on a show where it was gameplay after gameplay not this are, this is the concept of this game, or this is the CGI trailer, or this is not the actual gameplay, or some of this that you're seeing is mixed with. No, it was like gameplay after gameplay after gameplay after gameplay, release date after release date, and even for some it was like fall 2023. And you can take Nintendo to the bank on that, because they wouldn't do otherwise, because that's their proven track record. Like, I mean, except for like maybe a game or two here and there, they're on point, bro. They're on point. And I think as an older gamer, and I mean that age wise, man, Nintendo becomes that kind of like that sweet spot for me, where I'm like, I would love to see what they're gonna do with the next generation of consoles, but it doesn't look like they are ready to dismiss or move on from the Switch anytime soon. Not the pace they're going.
I'm gonna say from my
And you can
from
look.
my
I think you're gonna say the cycles and whatnot. I don't know, man. But go
yeah.
ahead.
Well,
I didn't want to interrupt. I'm sorry.
no. You're fine. From my opinion, from your first point about all the systems and the new systems and whatnot, have we been caught up in that? Have we been caught up in that?
Yeah, have we been sold that
A,
bill?
a couple years ago, as older, more seasoned men and gamers, I'm going to say yes to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say yes because when you spend good money on gaming systems, you want to get what you pay for. If I'm spending X amount of dollars on the system, I expect, our expectations are for companies to deliver good games for the money.
Yeah, and
Right or
have we gotten games for the money that we've paid for the hardware that we have, or are we still waiting?
Now I think you don't need me to answer that question for you, but
It's kind of a rhetorical question, but
you know what?
I mean, it's
You know what? I'm going to say that is an individual question
I
for
agree
an
with you.
individual person.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But I don't think that we've. I think it's fair to say that we have consoles that, again, people forget before the console came out, the tech that they were using, no matter how updated or modern it is or whatever, it's still lapsed in time. Like, they can't give you the actual, this is the latest and greatest, because the system was already a concept and was already built a year and a half, 2 years maybe ago. And so that's it. That's the hardware you're getting. It's already 2 years old at least, right? So, but I don't think that we've even started to tap the potential. But again, Nintendo Switch been out for how long? 6 years at this point?
Going on maybe 7.
Okay, and they don't seem to be slowing down.
I think Nintendo, when I sit back and I think about how Nintendo has set this up, I think personally, Nintendo saw this whole thing coming, and they put themselves exactly where they needed to be. And the reason I can say that, what did Nintendo do good all these years that kept them alive? And it kept them alive, it kept them pushing, and everybody loved
games.
Well,
it's always been games.
True, but what was it? Like, okay.
What I mean,
let's look at the.
What do you give us the answer? But I'm gonna tell you that if and again, do your gaming history and whatnot. I know you're aware of this, but any of these directors, producers on Nintendo, you hear time and time again, these creative heads, these geniuses over there at Nintendo, these wizards at Nintendo, they refuse to make anything that was not fun. And that's that was true. Games. They said, hey, our system could do A, B, C, X, Y, Z, but if we don't have the software, it don't mean nothing.
So what I'm getting at in total is If you look at Nintendo's history, Nintendo solidified themselves in games. No question, no doubt. But what kept Nintendo alive was handheld, correct?
Well, yeah, you can argue, yes, handheld, but it
Hold
wasn't
on.
it wasn't the
Hold on.
handheld system. It was the software. It was the games.
True.
That's what
True.
upholds any
But
system across the board.
that's true. But the reason I'm going handheld combined with games because when Game Boy was out there, what was the number one best-selling game on Game Boy and Game Boy Color?
Wasn't it Tetris?
Pokemon.
Oh yeah, well Pokemon, of course. Yeah.
So as little knuckleheaded men that we were, we all played a Pokemon game.
Not me. I never played no Pokemon game. I won't play it, sorry.
But
nope.
Nope.
But what Nintendo did, in my opinion, that put them over the rest, they took everything that worked, their handheld style, their games, they combined it into one, and they're killing the competition.
Yeah,
Because all they did was took everything that worked and they made it work better.
I mean, they've learned through the pains and the woes of making some consoles that were. I mean, look at the what's the word I'm looking for? When they did the Nintendo the GameCube, they went to this format, but that was proprietary. They went to those little mini discs, and it was like, okay, and then when they did the Wii U, some people still criticize the Wii U. I love the Wii U, to be honest with you.
Oh, Wii U was dope.
I love the Wii U, and I love that it's backwards compatible, and I can play my Wii games on it, and use all my peripherals on it as well. But I'm convinced that the Wii U was just a prototype for the Switch. I mean, you hold that tablet in hand and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. I really don't want to use this tablet as a controller. Like I'm forced to, and it's a gimmick. But now we have the Switch in hand and we're like, oh, this is dope. Yeah, but it's not original. It came from, like you're saying, the Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Color, the DS and all the DS lights and all the iterations of that, and here we are today with a hybrid.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, with technology, that the way it's going, Nintendo can make a more powerful, absolutely ridiculous Nintendo Switch 2, that can run 4K or whatever. It could still be cartridge based because the technology that's out now, you don't need CDs no more.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't.
Mm-hmm.
And Nintendo can go, thank you, Sony, thank you, PC, thank you, Microsoft, for continue to improve the technology that makes us better so that we can just beat you.
And as long as they don't do something stupid like when Sony dropped the PSP and the PS Vita. And they had the proprietary memory, where you had to buy their cards, and the card was worth like almost half, if not that, of what the system cost. I mean, that was just stupid. But Nintendo hasn't done that. You can put a regular SD card in your Switch. But let me end it with here, Jay, because we're coming up on an hour and we appreciate you guys listening to our chat, to our conversation. I hope it's been interesting. Again, does Nintendo have the secret sauce? Do they know something that we don't? That Xbox, PlayStation, man, I'm even gonna say it, maybe even PC doesn't know. Because they keep doing it over and over. Not perfectly. Not everything that they touch turns to gold. But let me ask you this question and we'll wrap up with this, Jay, because this is a great conversation. Do we want Nintendo, or does Nintendo need to come out with another console? Let's say it's the Switch 2. Let's say they keep the hybrid. But do we really need it to be 4K? Do we really need it to be that? at this point.
So long as they give you the option, I'm cool with it. Whether you want it or not, if they make it an option, I think that would be a great idea. Not the 4K, the option to have it.
The option to have it. So what do you mean by that? Like, would you be happy if they came out? Because right now in the market, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but
oh no, you're good, man.
But
you're good.
But right now we have the market is beginning to be flooded with handhelds, right? Kind of sort of like the Switch, the hybrid handhelds, right? We have the Steam Deck, we have the one that's Windows based that just came out not too long ago. I forget what the name of it is. And there's multiple other ones out here already that are running, Windows. They're running whatever. They're running operating systems, and they are, their resolution is better. Their memory is better. Their everything is better than what we have in the Nintendo Switch. Does Nintendo have to jump into that ring and bring up their Switch to par? Let's just call it that. Let's say maybe not even 4K, maybe 2K, 1440. But do they need to do that, or should they go in a different direction? Do you think they'll take another direction?
Based on Nintendo's track record, Nintendo has never ever followed trends, and I don't think they should start now.
Interesting.
So I'm going to say no. When everybody was yelling at Nintendo, "Oh my God, Nintendo, you need to go this," what Nintendo do? They stay cartridge.
So do you think Nintendo will abandon the Switch and move on to something else?
No, I think they're going to stay. They're going to stay on this platform, just make it better and make everybody get upset, because once again, Nintendo, you got the right to say kiss the ring.
Well,
I don't. If you got a Steam Deck, cool. I know you have a Steam Deck, brother. I got no qualms with a Steam Deck. But at the end of the day, all Steam Deck did is look at the Switch and look at Nintendo. Go, we want to copy you. We just want to give everybody. You can play your game. You can play your PC games with us. You can emulate with us, but you ain't Nintendo. You ain't.
Wow.
You as cool as all that is. Seriously, I ain't gonna knock it. As cool as turning on your Steam Deck, going on Steam, getting some cool games, playing on the go. I have yet to hear you get excited about a Steam game and be like, I gotta get it. But when Nintendo did it for Switch, you lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, it's undeniable. You're right. I mean, and that's a whole other conversation, brother. But guys, we've come up here on pushing exactly on the hour as we're gonna wrap this up. Maybe we can put it on pause there. What do you say, Jay? And just pick this up if we remember. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Nintendo. What do we think? Can we even imagine what they're going to come up with next? Is it going to be a Switch 2? Is it going to be something totally different? Is it going to be an iteration of the Switch with something else? What do we want? What can we imagine? I mean, it's just, and then talking about the Steam Deck, that's a whole other conversation. I think it's a whole other platform. But that'll be for the next episode, man. Jay.
Well, before you shut it down, I got a question for you.
Okay, he's gonna give one more question.
Simple question. You get any game that you've played in your lifetime. If you were driving down the street in your car, what video game BMG would you blast and bob your head to?
He gonna make me think about this. You know what? I'm gonna give you my answer on the next episode.
Okay.
How about that? I'll think about that.
I'm gonna give you mine right now. 1989, Outrun Turbo, Keep Your Heart. That song is a beast.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, Jay's been playing Outrun. That's probably why it's fresh on his mind. So
get off me. I play it now in the car, dude. That's my jam, dude.
As many I mean, there's so much, and that could be a whole podcast, man. The music of some of our favorite games, and it would have to be retro because I mean, the first thing that popped into my mind, brother, was what about that original Streets of Rage?
Oh no, baseball stadium. Oh, that's all it means.
That soundtrack kicks.
No.
That soundtrack kicks to this day. So,
Oh
I mean,
no.
you just mentioned something you was just playing before we jumped on the podcast. There's stupid games out there that the music is just as important as the game itself. I mean, it goes hand in hand. But anyways, guys, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed the banter, the conversation, just kind of us just kind of just, chewing the fat and seeing what comes out of it. But we do enjoy this time with you all. Leave your comments in the comments section, specifically as to what do you think Nintendo has up their sleeve. No one anticipated this Nintendo Direct. Do they have more games in the vault that they're gonna announce? When do you think they'll announce them? Are they gonna announce a new system soon? What might that system be? Is it gonna be the Switch 2? I mean, let's talk about it. Anyways, we appreciate you guys being here on youtube.com at Drama Free Gaming. And of course, we are over on Discord at Drama Free Gaming. Come hang out with us. Come join us. We're just a chill community. We play games. We do life together. We keep it drama free. Jay, say your goodbyes to these people and we're going to shut it down.
Well, thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out to enjoy another fantastic show with me and End Time. Just remember, keep your politics and your gaming separate. It's your money. You choose how you spend it because you work hard for it. But just keep your life in general drama free. Y'all have a wonderful night.
I love when Jay uses his tagline, "It's your money at the end of the day." I can't do it like him, but I love when he does that. People, keep your life and your gaming drama free. Do good. Be good. We'll catch you on the next one. Later.
Take it easy.